we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run.
Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty and regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
Podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e.
John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked the young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome to your weekend, everyone. My name is Matt Ohayon, filling in for Tony Marinaro, as I usually do on Fridays on the Sick Podcast. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Energy Transportation Group is a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Are you looking for the ultimate entertainment destination? Playground is your ticket to nonstop thrills. Experience heart-pumping gaming action and a world-class poker experience. Playground is the 2025 winner of the Fan Choice Best Poker Room at the Global Poker Awards. Indulge your taste buds at our incredible restaurants, then let loose with live music and electrifying DJs. Enjoy unmatched customer service just minutes away from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. Why settle for the ordinary when you can have the extraordinary? Playground. It's all here. Visit playground.ca to discover more. We're also brought to you by Bittt Tibi beer. Bittt Tibi has launched their new Ultra Lager, a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for those hot summer days with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, and 4% of alcohol per can. Available in packs of 6 and 12 in grocery stores and dépanneurs across the province of Quebec. Ultra light and ultra refreshing. And of course, by Betway, go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is available only for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. You must be 18 years or older, and please play responsibly. We are deep into the dog days of summer. I mean, really deep. What do I mean by that? I mean, I think I have watched 20 Toronto Blue Jays games. I won't say start to end, but I'll say at least 6 innings of Toronto Blue Jays games. But don't worry, we're going to talk about the Habs. I am just starving for Habs action to kick off. I mean, you never want to rush through the summer, but also I kind of wish the golf tournament was tomorrow. All right, let's bring him in. He is my usual Friday guest. His name is Stu Cowan. Hungry as I am for hockey to start.
Yes and no. I'm enjoying summer vacation. Not August 1st. Golf tournament will be early September next year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the season. But
we've had a pretty good one so far. So let's enjoy this last month. But I mean, Stu, I'm watching Toronto Blue Jays baseball, 6 innings, regular season. I mean, come on.
The thing is, baseball's watchable again with the pitch clock.
Yes.
I mean, I was a huge baseball fan as a kid. It was my favorite sport. I love baseball. I love the Expos. And then, before they put the pitch clock in, those 4-hour games run watchable. But yeah, I think everybody's sort of I've been tuning in a little bit to the Blue Jays also. They're doing really well. It's good to see.
Yeah. So don't worry, though. Before the golf tournament, that won't be the first piece of Habs media out there, because they announced last week that season 2 of the rebuild is going to be making its way to Crave. Now, season 1, obviously a hit. What isn't going to be a hit when it's Habs content in Montreal? I mean, we'll start here. I didn't really want to talk too much about this, but I guess we'll start here. What are you most interested to see? What part of the season are you most interested to get an inside look at in that locker room?
I think that probably the Carrier trade, like where they have much behind the scenes on how that came to play, because I think that was a real turning point in the season.
Mhm.
And also, Patrik Laine with the knee injury and deciding not to have surgery and coming back. Basically, just how much behind the scenes we get. Some of the other documentary type things I've seen have revealed more behind the scenes. I watched the Boston Red Sox one, which was fantastic on Netflix. There's so many of them now. We were talking about the quarterbacks one on Netflix. There's so many of them around. But for the Canadiens, those are a couple of things that I'm really looking forward to seeing. And the trade deadline stuff was also interesting. I wonder if they had a camera when Suzuki and Kent Hughes spoke, and Suzuki said, please don't make any trades. Keep these guys together. We got something special here. And Kent Hughes said, well, go out and start winning games. And they did. So we're interesting to see how much we get on that.
For me, I think it's got to be the aftermath, the immediate aftermath of that game against Pittsburgh, where the Canadiens lost, I think, 9-3. Because that was really the last time that season that you could really say that the Canadiens dogged it. And to me, it's the immediate aftermath, but also I want to hear what Martin St. Louis had to say to the cameras about the outside noise. Because obviously, you can't let those things get to you as a professional. You can't have your ears and eyes open everywhere, but they are open. And you do hear it a little bit. So I'm just really interested to see what the immediate aftermath was of that. Anyways, you mentioned
that game though, I mean, they rolled over and died. Remember in the third period, they left Caden Primo hung him out the drive when he came in. And I remember after that wondering, like, has this team are they starting to tune out Marty St. Louis? Because we saw it was similar to what we saw at the end of Dominic Ducharme's reign as coach of the Canadiens. I remember waiting outside the media room. Or sitting inside the media room where St. Louis does his post-game news conference and talking with some of the other guys. I said, boy, if he's ever going to lose it, like tonight's the night he's going to lose it. Like if he's ever going to rip these guys, tonight's the night. And then he came in. I remember I asked him the question in the news conference. I said, I don't know how angry or upset you get behind the bench, or if you do, but if you were really angry and upset tonight, what made you the most angry and upset? And he paused for a second and he said, I wasn't upset. I was disappointed. And in hindsight, I think it was a great answer. As a parent, my kids were little. Sometimes just telling your kids you're really disappointed in them has a bigger impact than yelling or screaming at them. And that's the way Marty St. Louis decided to go. And that's the way he's been since he was coach. He's very, he's not a guy, he's not the guy who's going to jump up and yell and scream at guys and go crazy. But I think that was really interesting when he said, I was just disappointed. I remember talking with Caden Gooley a day or two after that, and him saying how much they love playing for Marty St. Louis and how much they wanted to turn this around and get it going because they want to play for Marty and they love Marty and they don't want to see him get fired, right? And that was when Gooley spoke about that, and you could tell he was very honest in his feelings about it. I was like, okay, this team hasn't tuned out Marty St. Louis. This was just a game that that happened. They rolled over and died, and it didn't happen again after that. I mean, there was games. It's the only game I can really think of since Marty St. Louis took over that they just looked like they didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited for that to come out. I think it comes out August 21st, if my memory serves me correctly. Let's get to the main course of today's episode. Something just came out minutes before we hit the air, so we're going to touch on that near the end. What I wanted to talk about was, it's the middle of summer, and it seems like every August, Kent Hughes makes, I don't want to call it a major move, but a move that, it really helps out the roster. So in his first year, he acquired Sean Monahan and a first-round pick in the month of August. In his second year, he traded, it was his second offseason. He traded away Mike Hoffman and Jeff Petrie after reacquiring Petrie. And then last year, of course, famously, the Patrik Laine trade. Now, I don't want to, cause a big stir and, to have the light shined on us, but I can't help but think there is another move to come that will be for the roster. Listen, could it be Mason McTavish? Maybe. I don't want to, start stirring a pot and deep diving into Mason McTavish, but feels like, at least from that player's perspective, if Anaheim has all this cap space and all this money and, they want him a part of the future, why hasn't that deal gotten done yet? So there's stuff that are available, and there's things that the Canadiens still need to shore up. Is Kent Hughes going to make another signature move in August?
You know what? The second line center obviously is what they're looking for and what they're trying to get. But I think when they got Joe Veleno, that says to me that Kent Hughes doesn't think that's going to happen this summer. I think that's why a big reason why they got Veleno, figuring, okay, well, we're going to bring him in and see how he can work out. A big center. I don't think he's their second line center, but he's another adding more depth to the center position. Kirby Dach obviously is a big question mark. So at this point, I mean, anything's possible. I don't really think so. The other thing to keep an eye on is, Carey Price's contract going into the last year, but I believe his bonus payment is September 1st.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's a $5 million bonus. So if that contract is moved, I don't see it happening until after that. But it's at this point, I don't really think so, just because of, as I said, getting Joe Veleno. I think that leads me to believe that whatever other options were out there weren't going to happen, and the price was probably too high. People talk about Nazem Kadri possibly, another Cortex guy, Kent Hughes' old company, and he's collected quite a few of those guys. But the price would be high, right? And probably maybe too high for what the Canadiens are willing to give up at this point. And, with Gorton and Hughes, since they came here, they've been patient. And if the second line center, they think they might have a better chance of getting someone younger than a Kadri, someone might fit in better, might be better at the trade deadline or next summer, they're going to be willing to wait. And they've said that, right? They're not going to panic and make moves just for the sake of making moves. So I'd be surprised if we get another move in August. But, I wouldn't be shocked.
It really, it's funny because there's no better answer than being middle of the road, that I'm not expecting one, but also it wouldn't surprise me just because of how calculatedly aggressive that Kent Hughes is as a general manager, because we see it every year. I remember, we talked about Patrik Laine before he got traded to the Canadiens, and we were both kind of like, yeah, it would be nice, but I don't think it's going to happen. And then it happened. So, it's just.
Jeff Gordon was on one of the other sick podcasts, I believe it was, and when he was saying that Hughes is very, as you say, he's aggressive and he's like a squirrel running around picking up nuts, and Gorton's one who sort of hold on, wait a second, hold back. So I think that's one of the reasons that the Hugo combination works so well. One guy has more patience than the other.
Well, it's funny because you contrast that to years past and past general managers of the Canadiens. You think of Marc Bergevin, obviously, Pierre Gauthier, and Bob Gainey. It kind of felt like they just surrounded themselves with yes men, and nobody wanted to raise their hand and say, "Hey, that's a bad idea. I don't think we should do that."
Yeah, I still think Marc Bergevin made a huge mistake by not bringing in Serge Savard as a sort of position what Gorton's in now. And I remember reading Serge Savard's book, and he was quite upset because he was part of the search committee, big part of the search committee to find a GM at that time. And he sort of recommended Bergevin, and Jeff Molson led him to believe that there'd be a spot for Savard to sort of help him. And especially for a guy who had never been a GM in the league before, right? I just have a sounding board, just to have somebody, do you think this is good? How should, not just for player trades, for everything. There's a lot involved in being a GM of an NHL team, especially if you've never done it before. And that's why Kent Hughes came in, never been a GM before, player agent, had some experience. So to have Gorton, have the two of them working together, I think that was a big mistake that Marc Bergevin did, whether it was Serge Savard or somebody else who had experience as a GM to come in and be the executive VP of hockey operations, sort of the title that Jeff Gorton has now. And I think it really, as like negotiating contracts, Bergevin wasn't good at it, right? It became personal. And one thing with Hugo, nothing has become personal. You mentioned Jeff Petrie before. Look how they handled that. They handled it very classy, right? They told him they were going to trade him if they could find the trade, but they weren't going to just, you have a contract with us, and we're not going to give you away. And then when they did reacquire him, they said, don't worry, we're not keeping you here. We're going to trade you again. So that's a big difference, I think, from this management group compared to previously. And you see it now because guys want to play here. Guys, look how many guys are around this summer. Look at Nick Suzuki's wedding. Look how many former Canadiens players from recent 2-3 years ago were there. A lot of them, right? So there's a real a bond on this team. And guys, there's a period where guys didn't want to play in Montreal, guys who left Montreal left on bad terms. Max Pacioretty, Radulov, PK. You can go down. There's a long list of them. But that's changed. That's really changed since this new management team took over.
So speaking of, who's around this summer, just this morning, again, Patrik Laine, first one on the ice in Brassard. Who was with him? Nick Suzuki, Caden Gooley, Jake Evans, Owen Beck, Jaden Struble, who signed a contract this week and avoiding arbitration, Jacob Dobas, and guest starring Pittsburgh Penguin Chris Letang.
Yeah, Letang's usually here in the summer. He lives here, but the Struble one be interesting too. Like that negotiations, I want to know how that went, because Struble was like a son to Kent Hughes. He was at his house all the time. They've spoken about that before. Kent would come home and there'd be nobody in the house except Struble. He'd be working out or eating there. So it was almost like one of his sons that they were negotiating with. I figured it would get done, and it seems like a fair deal for both sides. But yeah, that was one of the ones I was interested to see how that would play out and how it would end up. But
so again, I really am liking what Patrik Laine is showing this summer. It seems that he is not happy with how people have viewed him to end the year last year. And it's like I said off the top, you hear the noise. You're not going to listen to it all the time, but it's there. And he has seemingly been on the ice in Montreal almost, it seems like, multiple times a week, every week. Since the season has ended, after he was able to recover from his finger injury in the playoffs.
He got married also earlier this summer, and he honeymooned in Italy, I believe. I remember seeing pictures on social media. But apart from that, he seems to have been here. And he spoke at the end of the season that his only goal last season was to basically fall in love with hockey again. He'd fallen out of love with hockey and came very close to retiring. And despite all the ups and downs he had last season, his passion for the game seems to have returned. And we're seeing that now with him being on the ice almost every day with a group of guys and hanging around in Montreal. And again, it speaks to this team and this locker room and how much these guys just like being around each other. And I'm sure this summer it's been a lot of fun for Patrik Laine just to be around that group and have his passion back for hockey. I'm sure he's being healthy now with the knee. Hopefully, it stays that way. And he's pro athletes are proud. He's heard, he's experienced the highs and lows of Montreal in a very short span. And it'd be interesting to see how he comes back. We've talked about this on previous podcasts too. I think the effort level, it has to be there for him this year, or he's not going to stay here, right? So if you want to stay in Montreal, you got to pick up the effort level and you got to be a little bit more physical. Otherwise, Marty St. Louis showed last season, he'll put you on the fourth line. He'll take you off the number one power play unit. So I think Laine has a lot to prove, probably to himself a little bit, that, okay, I have the passion back and I can be the player that I was and the player the Canadiens were hoping he would be when they got him. He knows that the Canadiens got him for next to nothing, right? Mm-hmm. And so, so it's going to be interesting to see. But it's a really good sign, I think, seeing him and all these other guys skating basically every day in Brassard. Ivan Demonov, a friend of mine, works there in the boutique at the Habs practice rink, and he says Demonov's there twice a day most days. Skates in the morning and skates again in the afternoon.
Yeah, and it's funny. There was a meme going around online that it was. Have you ever seen Zoolander?
Yes,
Zoolander. So when Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson meet for the first time on the runway, and they kind of give each other those eyes, and it was Lane Hudson showing up at the rink at 6 a.m. when Ivan Demidov has already been there since 5 a.m.
That might be a competition now. Who can get there first?
Exactly. They're gonna soon. Knowing these guys, they might sleep at the rink. You can't get them away.
Well, two guys who love being at the rink, and that's maybe rubbing off on Patrik Laine too, a veteran, seeing these young guys and the enthusiasm, maybe bringing back memories of him when he was at that age, right? And the enthusiasm. Any guy you first get in the NHL, you can imagine the excitement level and just how excited you are to get to the rink every day, and that probably fades a little bit over the years, right? As these guys get older and injuries creep in and that. But these two guys, well, at least now Lane Hudson will probably have a teammate to skate with when it's a day off. They tell him
well, that's right.
The rink, yeah.
So I think I can't be certain, but Patrik Laine, when he played in Columbus, his coach must have been John Tortorella. And listen, he's not for everyone. the type of coach he is, and you contrast him to Martin St. Louis. Yeah, it's funny, they're good friends, but you think of Tortorella, you think of the guy who's going to yell and explode at his players. We've seen it in these NHL 24/7 old series. When he was with the Rangers, we saw it. And then, he was playing in Winnipeg, where that was a bit of a troubled locker room between Dustin Byfuglien when he was there and Evander Kane and that whole drama that was there. This is really the first time that Patrik Laine is in a drama-free good city. With all due respect to the cities of Winnipeg and Columbus, I think Montreal is a little bit higher on nicer and better places to live. So he does have to prove that he wants to be here. And because you don't know where you could end up in the NHL. And also, your next shift is never guaranteed, as we saw with Yoel Armia when he got sent down to Laval.
We have. And Laine has said that he likes playing in a market where hockey matters. And he likes that. He likes it, experience in Winnipeg. You want to experience that again, and Tortorella was his coaching. Brad Larson coached him in Columbus too. And Pascal Vincent coached him, right, his last season in Columbus. And Pascal Vincent benched him early in the season in that season in Columbus. And we're talking about Gorton and Hughes. That before they made that trade for him, they probably had a lot of conversations with Pascal Vincent about, should we get this guy? Is this guy really, are the red flags that much of a concern that we shouldn't bring him in? And obviously, after meeting with Vincent, they decided that they were going to bring him in. And with Marty St. Louis, I think if you don't want to play for Marty St. Louis, that's on you. I think. Yeah. He's very fair. We've seen he's very fair with players. He's a great motivator, great motivational speaker. He can, as he's said right from day one, he can relate to what every single guy on the team's going through because he's done it all, been a first liner, a fourth liner, been on waivers, been in the minors, so he can relate there. So if you're having a problem getting along, in previous places, you said, coaches were a problem, and then you get here, and Marty St. Louis is your coach, and now coach is a problem again. I think you got to look in the mirror.
Yep. So I'm not ready to, stand on my 10 toes, puff out my chest, and say Patrik Laine is about to have a career year, but I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I'm excited to see what happens in training camp and in the preseason when we get there on and when we get to hear from these guys. We're going to hear from Patrik Laine at the golf tournament, I would imagine. So I'm just really excited.
It looked like he was having a good time at Suzuki's wedding. Some of the videos.
He did. He did.
The boys,
It looked like he was the life of the party that night.
But that's a great sign because, he went in the NHL Player Assistance Program for mental health issues, and him and his wife have started a mental health initiative program. So it's good to see a guy like that just having fun, right? Having a great time at the teammate's wedding and having fun, obviously, on the ice this summer in Brossard.
So the other piece of news that came in today is that 42 NHLers have been invited to Team Canada's National Orientation Camp. I think it's 96 players total with the women and Paralympic teams. So 42 NHLers. Amongst them are Nick Suzuki. I don't think that's much of a surprise at this point. Noah Dobson and Samuel Montembeault, who was the third goalie for Team Canada at the Four Nations tournament. That's a great sign. I mean, listen, Nick Suzuki, I think, Canadiens fans and just conventional hockey fans, you could point to players on the Four Nations team where you could take them out of the lineup and insert Nick Suzuki in, and it'll be a far more effective team, especially with the type of player, 200-foot player that Nick Suzuki is. Out of those three, I guess, which or how many of them do you expect to make Team Canada for Milan this upcoming winter?
Well, I think Montembeault will be there as the third goalie at worst, right? I mean, that's what he was at Four Nations, and he loved the experience. Great teammate, didn't bitch and complain about it. Went there, soaked it all up, talked about how much it helped him just in practice, having all the best players in Canada shoot on him time after time after time in practice. So I think he'll be there. And I think Suzuki really does have a chance. I know he wants to be there. He really, really, really wants to be there. And Dobson getting invited, I mean, they invite 42 guys, are going to have some scrimmages, right? Before they have two teams. But for Dobson, that's a good sign that the Team Canada scouts, officials think highly enough of him to invite him to that camp. I don't know if there's a spot on the blue line for him when you look at what they had at the Four Nations, but a confidence boost getting invited there and a great experience for him going. But for Suzuki, I think he's really got a good chance of making it this time. As you mentioned, 200-foot player, the way he played the end of last season, the way he sort of took the team on his shoulders after that meeting we spoke about with Kent Hughes when he said don't trade anybody. So, yeah, I think Dobson, I'd be surprised, but the other two, I think, have a really good chance. And Montembeault, I think, is a lock, at least as a third goalie.
Yeah. The interesting part would be for Team Canada was the big clamor. It's so funny. This happens every year when it comes to Olympics or just best on best hockey. Because if you remember, the last time before the Four Nations, there was best on best. It was the 2014 team in where was it? Sochi. And they won gold, but they didn't come without drama before. I mean, I remember Claude Giroux was left off the team, and the Flyers made a huge deal about it. People were freaking out, and I think Martin St. Louis was on that team.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
So, and people were freaking out. Matt Duchene, I think, was the other guy who was maybe left off the team, and people were freaking out. And then they win gold in, they don't even break a sweat in that tournament to win gold. So it's going to be interesting because, people were clamoring, oh my God, how could I'm trying to think of a name off Travis Konechny make the team over Nick Suzuki. It's a travesty at the Four Nations, and then Team Canada wins gold anyways.
Yeah, I remember the year that Mark Messier and Steve Yzerman were left off, and who's the guy from Tampa, the center? And Rob Zaminer? Rob Zaminer made the team. Okay. Remember that year?
No, this is before my time.
Who's this dude? But yeah. And that didn't turn out so well. That was the same one where they didn't use Wayne Gretzky in the shootout that year.
That must have been Nagano, maybe?
Might have been, yeah. But I remember that when Mark Messier didn't make Team Canada for the Olympics and Rob Zaminer did. That's the one that I always remember.
Well, there you go, we've been, as Canadians, blessed in years past that it's worked out for the team. But it's funny how that happens because, you look at the 2010 team. I don't remember. I wasn't, I was still, I was 13 years old for the 2010 team. But
it was a 98 team that Messier was left off of.
There you go. So it was Nagano. And, that it's just, it seems like these managers, they try to outthink themselves because did Canada win gold that year? I don't think they did.
No, they didn't. They got eliminated. Hasek stopped them. They didn't even win a medal.
So there you go.
But that was the ultimate in over-coaching and over-analyzing. And we've seen that with the World Junior team too, right? Yep. Rather than just taking the best 20 guys, we need a guy to fill this role or a guy to fill that role. I remember back when Messier didn't make it, like you couldn't, maybe it wasn't one of your first three centers. You could definitely make him a fourth line center. No, Mark, we're going to make you a fourth line center. You got to go out and check. Or Steve Yzerman, the same thing. That was really, really, really bizarre at that point. I think it was over analyzing it. Take the best 20 players and go with your best 20 players. And the World Juniors, as I said, the same thing happened last year with them.
Well, that's it. And I think, at least the seniors on the Team Canada for the men's Olympic team, who's in charge of that. I think Hockey Canada learned from their mistakes after what happened in the World Juniors. They seemingly took the best players, depending on who you ask, for the Four Nations. I think Canada will be in good hands. But again, it's nice to see Noah Dobson get that invite because I know some people were a little upset. There's a segment that he is the highest paid Montreal Canadian at the moment. He's the second highest paid, save for Carey Price, ever. And I think I saw the number that there's 26 forwards invited, 3 goalies, which would mean there's 13 defensemen. So he's got. I think they're going to bring 8. I think is the rule they're allowed to the Olympics. So he's got to be in the top 8. I think he could, but it's funny. We were just talking about you try to just take the 8 best players. Defenseman is a little different. You don't want to have just all these offensive defensemen. They already have 3 in Cale Makar, Devin Taves, and maybe Evan Bouchard will be in the mix there. So it'll be interesting for Noah Dobson. But I really hope Nick Suzuki will make it so he can finally start getting some respect around the league as a top NHL player.
Yeah, and I think he's got that already. And wonder how much not getting invited last year, maybe because he had turned down the chance to go play, remember, for Team Canada at the World Championships the previous year because he was getting getting engaged. So that might have factored into a little bit also. But I mean, Nick Suzuki is proving that he is an elite player in the NHL. Yeah.
So be interesting. Again, that camp will be, I believe, from August 26th to the 28th. So that's all we got. As I said, this is the dog days of summer, but we still had a headline with the Canadiens as three of their players were invited to Team Canada's national orientation camp for the Milan Olympics. Stu, how was the golf tournament last week?
It was great. Yeah, went to Gananoque, played Smuggler's Glen, 36 guys. It was fantastic. I mean, 36 guys. We had a great time.
There, we'll leave it at that. Stu, thank you very much for joining us. As usual, enjoy the beautiful weather this weekend, and we will talk very, very soon.
All right, have a great weekend.
That's Stu Cowan. I'm Matt Ohayon. For producer Shane, back at home. Thank you very much for listening. We'll catch you next time.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.